Welcome, victims, to the Horr-Gasm podcast, the show where the serial killer isn't coming for you, you're coming for them. I'm Nick, and this is my co-host, Allie.
Boo!
Thank you for joining us wherever you are.
It's hard for me to think of new things to say each week.
I know.
I try really hard. And then I'm like, I'll just default to hello, or boo, or hi.
Yeah, I'm planning to make a little change to the opening paragraphs, so
Love it.
haven't thought of anything yet, but just listening to other podcasts, I think we need a little something a little different.
Ooh.
Not sure what. I'm working on it.
Change is always fun, yeah. Change up the beginning and the end, or...
Well, the end is just same old.
Yeah.
And it's, I like the end because it's just kind of, it's a good closer.
Yeah.
And
reinforces everybody to subscribe and like and
download.
And...
But, pulling back the curtain a bit, we had a record number of downloads last week.
Yeah.
79.
In one day.
That was huge. Like we cracked 1,000 downloads.
Whoop whoop.
Which is awesome. Thank you to all our victim listeners out there. Thank you.
1,000 people have heard our buttery, smooth, velvety voices.
Yes. Yes. I'm sure our executive Ichabod, or executive producer Ichabod is also quite happy. She let us eat because of that, and she's allowing us to have the May long, which was nice of her.
It was very nice. Yeah.
Yes. Didn't want to, but she let us have that off.
Yeah, it was good.
So we kind of threw our rotation off a little bit. We're a week off, but whatever.
Yeah.
It happens.
It'll just kind of mess up this month because we'll be 1 week into June. But I just bumped one of our things down. That's
fine.
it. Yeah.
That's fine. We can work with that.
Yeah. I don't think anybody really minds too much.
No. As long as they listen and they enjoy what we're putting out.
Exactly.
And again, criticism is good. I'm okay with criticism. We haven't gotten much.
Right.
We kind of went over that the first few months. Just kind of the first...
But I feel like we're always the hardest on ourselves, right?
Yes.
You know, you get the hardest on yourself, and then other people are like, oh, tweak this, change that. And neither of us are really, super good with audio, so we kind of had to learn that from the ground up.
And I had different ideas for how we're going to do this at the beginning, and that kind of just fell to pieces. So I'm like, well, I guess we'll do something different.
Yeah.
And we did. It's working so far.
It's working awesome. Yeah.
Telling the multiple Horr-Gasm, we did it once. We might do it again down the road.
Yes.
It's just so much to go through.
It's hard, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to talk about more than one movie, at a time, and watch more than one movie, and then talk about them. Yeah.
We can do it. It's just we need the time and the patience.
It's like a whole day commitment.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is. Luckily, though, I think we've gotten better at it where it's easier.
Yes,
we just
I agree.
Need the time to do it. And
exactly.
Those are the big special ones. That's what I want the guests for.
Exactly.
We'll do I think if we do the thing, we have to do them together because they're such they sync up so well.
Yeah.
And I know Tim would be great for it because he loves the movie. He had a great time with that recording. Mm-hmm. Sadly, the data was lost, but whatever.
It happens. Yeah. I totally watch them again and record again.
So good.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, they were fabulous.
But this week we did The Mummy.
Classic. Yes.
And for our Talking Shop segment, I think we'll talk about The Mummy and how it's been. It's not as big as Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, but it's still out there. The late, was it 90s?
Yeah,
90s had this big resurgence. They had Brendan Fraser and all those guys. They kind of basically took the first movie and broke into two parts.
Right.
With Mummy 1 and 2, with adding, more to it.
Right.
The effects were fantastic. The acting was great.
It is so good. The Mummy and The Mummy Returns are two of my favorite movies, ever. Ever in the history of movies.
Yeah, they did so good.
And I love that they actually used, just watching this movie, because this was the first time I ever watched The Mummy.
Same with me.
1932, I think it was.
31, 32.
Sure, I'll update that when I actually talk about it in the beginning. But this, they actually used parts of this, which I feel is, I don't know, they used some sort of historical mythology for it. And I really like that. I love all sort. I've talked about it to death on this podcast. That I love any sort of mythology. When they talked about the Book of Thoth, I've listened to like 2 or 3 podcasts on Thoth. I think he's a pretty cool dude, and so it was cool to even hear about it in this one, which I don't remember it from the actual Mummy. I don't know if they ever talked about Thoth. But I love any sort of mythology, and just them diving into that a bit more in this one, I think made a big difference, And obviously it's not going to be completely historically accurate, and I totally understand that. But, because obviously Google wasn't around or any of that, and there wasn't as many discoveries as there is now. But really, really good. Yeah. The more we watch these classic movies, the more I like them.
I know. And, like when you come to we go back to the Mount Rushmore of horror movies,
yes,
villains, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman,
yes,
Mummy, and you can also switch out the Invisible Man in there with the Wolfman. There was the ones that really established
for sure,
and I would say that the Mummy kind of got the short end of the stick.
Yes.
Because I know there's been a few. There's been a whole bunch of sequels, and there's The Mummy's Hand.
Yes.
In 1940.
Yeah, those were the 40s ones.
Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. That was also the more.
Abbott and Costello was like a comedy. Yeah.
I think Dumb and Dumber.
Yes, exactly.
You got Blood from the Mummy's Tomb in 1971. It's had its fair share, but nothing breaking out until
the Mummy.
The Mummy and the Mummy Returns.
Yes.
Now there's 1964 Wrestling Woman versus the Aztec Mummy.
Cute.
1964 the Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. Every Mummy movie had the curse involved.
Right.
All because of when they actually in real life they excavated King Tut.
Yes.
And there was this big curse. Whoever takes this or opens the tomb will be cursed, and people died. And
that's fucked up. If you listen to all that mythology on it, everything that's happened, everybody died.
Yeah.
That's really messed up.
And some people, the more scientists, naysayers, what was the curse? It was just the air. There was some bad juju in the air, and because it's all
right
for thousands of years,
thousands and thousands. Yeah,
it's been in there. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the curse? Could be. Was it just old diseases from back then or something? Or all the gases? Maybe. But that kind of just birthed the Mummy franchise.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm thankful for it. Because this movie was great. And like we talked about before, the Mummy movies are some of my favorite movies ever. Mm-hmm. I love them.
And they're usually just very... not slow, but they're more methodical.
Yes.
Whereas Dracula, he's hell bent.
Yes.
And from watching this movie, he's almost like not a villain, but just kind of not an anti-hero. What's the word?
I get what you mean, though. All he wants is to bring his lover back.
Yes.
That's all he wants.
Yeah. And doesn't matter what it takes, he wants her back.
But that's in the first Mummy where we, the 1990s Mummy or whatever. And where you kind of don't understand why he's doing all this. There's obviously he wants to come back to life and all that kind of stuff. But then in the second Mummy, when he brings in that, Anna, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
You kind of see this, they were condemned lovers and they weren't ever supposed to be together. Yeah. She was actually with, Pharaoh or whatever.
The Pharaoh's wife.
Yes, the Pharaoh's wife, and it was forbidden love, but they really loved each other, and so you kind of start to sympathize with the villain in quotation marks, right? Because he's just trying to survive. He's just trying to live his life, be with his babe.
That's right. That's all he wanted, and he kind of did the whole dark powers just to get that opportunity to be with her, and because the sequel focused more on the Book of the Dead, and I think there's 2 books, Book of Dead and Book of Life.
Exactly, yeah.
And, it's they really brought back the mythology for the Mummy and all the backstory. I love Egyptian mythology.
Same.
I plan to get Anubis tattooed on my left sleeve eventually,
Cool.
and I love Anubis. I don't know why. Just he's the god of death.
Yeah.
And I've worked with my kind of dark sleeve here going on here. And their gods are crazy looking. Like
yes.
Like they got, I think, they got funny names. Osiris. Sorry. Osiris was the god of sun. No, that was Ra.
No, you're right, Ra.
Yeah, Ra was the god of sun. I think Osiris had the bird head.
Yeah.
One of them had a crocodile head.
And then Isis was the
god of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Stargate.
Right.
I love Stargate because of that. It just the whole alien thing. I like that too. But
I watched Downton Abbey. That was like one of my favorite shows ever. Not a horror, obviously, but the main character, his dog's name was Isis because he loved Egyptian. They had to kill him off though, like the dog, because of the whole like actual ISIS thing that was happening in the world, and they had him get a new dog, and his name is Ra.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Good replacement.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, like I the whole Egyptian mythology really kind of it works with this movie with the mummy. It worked so well in Stargate, the TV series Stargate. They expanded more of it. I love Egyptian mythology. I really, really do. Egyptian, Greek mythology.
Norse mythology is another one I'm like super into. Yeah,
we need some more horror movies regarding mythologies. You got the Mummy, so we got Egyptian down.
Yeah.
We need some good Norse horror movies. Although something with the trolls. There's a Troll Hunter. I think that's half horror, half adventure.
Okay.
It was on Netflix. It might still be on there.
Like the TV show?
Nope. The movie.
Troll Hunter.
Yeah, it's some group of people who hunt these giant trolls.
The only Troll Hunter I watched was a kid show.
No, I don't think it was a kid show.
I watched like 3 or 4 seasons of it.
It wasn't a TV show. But,
okay, interesting.
And even like a horror, Greek horror would be great.
Yeah, because the Greeks were fucked up. Yeah. Like, they've got some real intense mythology.
To be fair, they do have some, I think, like Minotaur. I'm sure there's a Minotaur movie. Yeah. There's like a Medusa movie would be great. Like they got tons of material. You just need to make a good story around.
Yes.
It.
Yeah.
Like the Mummy.
Right.
Who wasn't so much a mythical figure, but that's what happened to those who died.
Right.
And we found out the Mummy, he wasn't quite buried as the others were.
Right. He was buried alive, basically.
Buried alive with a curse that basically when he dies, his soul doesn't leave. He is stuck in his dead body forever.
Yes. Yeah. And it kind of creeped me out as a kid. The Mummy 1 and 2. It was kind of creepy. You know, watching it. Because of all, like, the bugs and that kind of stuff, sort of. But...
And how he would take people's, like, life
souls.
Force to
like, suck it out of them.
Was it their soul? I guess it was. Just
whatever. Yeah.
Because they then become very, decrepit and
dead. Like decayed.
Yes, decayed. Ugh. And he would have it back. He would slowly gain similar. You know what reminds you of? Hellraiser.
Yes.
Because when Frank is brought back, he's just a little bloody thing.
You're exactly right.
And he would take the essence of the people, like he would kill. Yeah. And he would slowly get his body back.
Yes.
And that's the Mummy.
Although it is.
In this one, that was not the case at all. He was basically already...
As soon as he was done, like, he was resurrected, he just kind of started walking around. As the other character. Whatever his name was, Ardeth or whatever.
Ardoth Bay.
Yeah. He just started walking around, covering up. So, do you think he was, like, still kind of decayed underneath? That's why he didn't like to be touched or anything?
Yes, because you saw later on he grabbed hold of... I forget the girl's name now.
Yeah.
And,
Helen?
Yes, thank you. And you can see that there's like a dusty print of his hand on her arm.
Yes.
So he kind of, I think through some of the magic or something, he can hide that he's still kind of a decayed body.
Right.
But
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, should we get into the review of The Mummy?
I think it's time to get into The Mummy.
Let's do it.
What's the matter, man? For heaven's sakes, what is it?
He went for a little walk. You should have seen his face.
All right, so like we said, this week we watched The Mummy. It's a 1932 film, and it is directed by Karl Freund. Frond.
Sure.
Something like that. It was written by Nina Wilcox Putnam. Good for you, Nina.
Good job.
Yeah, 1932. Isn't that crazy?
That's old. That's almost 100 years old. That's
it is.
12 years off.
Yeah.
Wow.
88 years old. Like, that's crazy.
That's a doozy.
Ugh. My main man, Boris, like, he's killing it.
Yeah.
He's killing the horror game back in the day. I'm proud of him.
Well, where did you first hear of this movie?
Well, I didn't know it existed until we watched it. So, these older movies, all of these older movies, other than Creature from the Black Lagoon, I've never really seen. Like, I don't know if they're just harder to find, or I just never, they're not on Netflix, not on Prime, not on anything like that.
Yeah.
Where I would have easier access to it. And it's just, not something you gravitate towards, even when we used to rent movies or anything like that,
Yeah.
So, but pleasantly surprised, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I know who Boris Karloff was, just from, like, I go to Universal Studios a lot. So there's always Dracula and Frankenstein, the Mummy kind of wandering around, and you can always buy merch and stuff like that. So I knew of it sort of from that.
Yeah.
But that's about it. Yeah. Never actually watched it, obviously, but...
Neither have I.
Yeah, how about you?
I've heard of it.
Right.
Never watched it. It just kind of became like common knowledge again.
Sure,
like
exactly.
we said before, how everyone knows about the Mummy. He's part of the classic horror monsters. And I never realized, though, just how much of a conflicted, character this guy is. I thought he was
For sure.
They wake him up, he goes to kill, and then they have to stop him.
Right.
Well, there's a lot more to it.
There is. Yeah.
Other movies, I think they kind of just dropped the whole conflict and said, hey, they brought Mummy back.
Yeah.
And
he wants revenge.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Like, I was a bad guy then, now I'm a bad guy now. I'm going to kill you unless you stop me,
Right.
which you can't, because I'm a mummy and you can't kill me.
Yeah.
It's been, taken different, views of it.
Right.
Hotel Transylvania,
Yes.
he's made of sand.
Yes.
Which, again, kind of makes sense because he's just so old. He's decayed.
Yes. He's one of my favorite guys in actually Hotel for Transylvania because he's just hilarious. He's so funny, and I just really like him in that one, compared to the other ones. Like, I find Frank, like Frankenstein, is kind of a pushover and all that kind of stuff. But the Wolfman in that one and the Mummy are hilarious. And I don't know. They're good. Yeah, and I like the idea of the sand, though. Like, because even in the Mummy, the 90s version or whatever of the Mummy, he's able to manipulate sand as well. Yeah. Like, sort of, like, I don't know if he just kind of, like how he does it. Like, kind of his corporeal body moves, because his face...
he was also kind of, had magic and some of the spells.
Exactly.
And powers.
And how he could, like, suck life force in and all that kind of stuff.
And we'll go back to our talking about how the Mummy has changed. Like this one, he's only in bandages at the beginning.
Yes.
That's it. After that, he was normal. He's had a very wrinkled face to show his age, but other than that, there was no wrappings. He didn't stumble around. He walked slow, but that was it. As the years progressed, they kind of got more different. Well, they made him more more always wrapped up. He walked a lot slower, but he could always, like Jason, he could always get you.
Yeah.
There was cartoons of like Mummies Alive.
Yes.
Like that was an old cartoon about mummies who were brought back to whatever. It was a cool show.
Yeah.
And it was just a very that kind of stuck.
Yes.
He was always wrapped up, and if you unwrapped everything, there's nothing but a little bit of bones and dust and sand. I remember that was a thing in the Monster Squad. The mummies in that one, I think they unravel him. And he's just a skull.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it's kind of neat how it's changed. And then it changed back to what it was with the 90s Mummy and the Mummy Returns.
Right.
So yeah, it's really, I like what they've done. They haven't really ruined it yet.
Right.
I know they tried to reboot it with Tom Cruise and make the whole monster universe like MCU. That kind of was DOA.
No.
Yeah, Universal, they dropped the ball hard on that.
That's too bad.
They did two. They did the Mummy, and they're going to bring, the Wolfman.
Okay, sure.
But they...
Like, do it versus?
No, just like have them all in the same universe. And they're going to eventually have them all together and kind of like the Avengers, but not. Instead of calling them like, I don't know, the Revengers. Or, I don't know. But they want to connect everything.
Sure.
And that's what Marvel's doing. That's what DC was trying to do, but they kept fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it's just... I like what they've done so far with just how they've progressed the Mummy character himself.
Right, yeah.
And in this movie, I haven't seen it until now. I liked it.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It really was.
Cast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do that now. Do a quick go through the cast.
Do it.
Before I get off another tangent. So we got the late, great Boris Karloff.
Love.
Plays Imhotep.
Mm-hmm.
He's the mummy. And he's got the great look for it. He's got kind of a gaunt face. They do the eye thing, which I swear Stargate stole from this. They had to have.
For sure. Such a good voice, too.
Yes. You don't hear him speak in Frankenstein. He just
grunts a lot, yeah.
Yeah. And he has a very nice, very gentle voice.
Mm-hmm.
Zita Johann played Helen Grosvenor.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she and the director had a hell of a time in this movie.
Oh.
They did not like each other at all.
Interesting.
Why? David Manners plays Frank Wemple.
Ah, yes, Frank.
Yes. Arthur Byron plays Sir Joseph Wemple, his father.
Mm-hmm.
Edward Van Sloan plays Dr. Muller, but they pronounce it like Miller.
Yeah.
It's a funny pronunciation of Muller.
Which is interesting.
And lastly, we have Bramwell Fletcher as Ralph Norton.
What a good name.
He goes crazy at the beginning, and then he kills himself.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good cast. I guess when they got Boris for this, that was like a huge get. That was like getting Arnold for a B movie.
Right.
Like, it's huge. Like, he was such a big name back then. And good for him.
Yeah. He was great in this. I think he made this movie, honestly.
100%. Because I know you were saying that during we were watching, it felt very stiff.
It is. It was the beginning scene, the opening scene, I found especially stiff. It's just like when you go to theater and they're trying to do exposition too much exposition at once, where they're like talking stuff that doesn't flow thoughtfully, sort of. And I found that very much so in the beginning. Afterwards, it got a little bit better.
Yeah.
But, the beginning of this was a little rough. But I understand why they have to do it. Because, it wasn't as obviously advanced as it is now. Where they can't do voiceovers or, they did a little bit of title screen stuff where they...
At the beginning, yes. I like that. They had a little bit of this exposition of the scrolls.
Exactly.
And what it does.
Yes.
Another movie... what the Thing is based off of, The Thing from Another World.
Mm-hmm.
The Angry Video Game Nerd did a little review on this.
Sure.
And he liked how the actors, they would talk over each other. It would be more of a very normal conversation, not you say your line, and then I say my line, and then you say your line again, and I respond with my line.
Right.
They'd talk as in, one guy would say something, and then as he's talking, someone else would say something over him or during him while he was, talking.
Yeah.
And it felt more natural. And some movies, they don't do that very much anymore. It's again, you see your line, I see my line.
Right.
This one was very, old style, black and white. Everyone's kind of. It's also based on drama or theater.
And they're not. You can tell that they're definitely just reading the script. They're not ad-libbing. They're not moving.
Yes.
There's no variation from, I guarantee, what the script said to what came out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a thing of the times or if that's...
I think it was. It
had
to be.
It had to be, right?
Yeah.
Where they just said, back and forth to each other instead of letting it flow, saying random things, making it feel more natural.
Yeah.
There was none of that.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
But that's, also, again, it was 1932.
Yeah, it was.
There's some leeway there.
This movie had a budget of $196,000.
Wow.
That was it.
Wow.
And they actually had a few extras, doing the work, when they're digging out. They must have got paid maybe 10 cents
Crazy.
a day, maybe. And that was
my God. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Jeez. And the sets weren't crazy either, but they, some of the shots were.
Yeah. They looked really nice. The museum was really well done.
Really well done.
I doubt they use actual, sarcophagus or anything.
Right.
The art department and all the makeup and all that. I don't want to say effects, but
right.
They did a great job.
Really good, yeah.
For the times, it was fantastic.
Especially, I find, when they transformed Helen into, Emotep's wife or lover or whatever.
Moon or,
yes.
Yeah, it's such
she
a hard
looked
name to pronounce.
So good.
She did.
Totally different.
Yeah.
And I know it was probably just a wig and different makeup and a dress, but it looked really well done. Really
well. And they kept it pretty, what they thought was the look.
Historical.
Yes.
For sure.
Definitely. They did their research. It wasn't just a slapped together movie.
Exactly.
This was well done.
And for the research that you could do in 1932, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, it's not like you can just go on and Google it.
That's
right? You actually have to,
I'm sure they have
do research
with some of the people who really excavate and what's the word? There's a certain name for people who do that.
The archaeologists?
Thank you. I'm sure they did some talks about archaeologists and...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they must have. They had
absolutely.
To get, because they had, I think they mentioned... Was it Tut? They mentioned
someone, King Tut.
Yeah.
They mentioned him and the curse. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. Ooh, your microphone's getting frisky again.
Doing the slips again. I'll fix after.
Oh, yes.
So we get to the review.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we start off in 1921.
Yes.
After a brief little explanation of the Book of Thoth.
Yes.
Thoth. Thank you.
Yeah.
Need a little bit of a lift for that.
When I was listening to a podcast about it, when they say Thoth, it's the what? But yeah, that's 2 THs.
Yeah.
It's crazy I don't know. It's just something you don't hear.
No, it's not.
But.
So, okay, I'll fix. Okay. It was in the way. Now it's not. Hooray. So, 1921. An archaeological expedition led by Sir Joseph Wemple finds a mummy of an ancient Egyptian high priest named Imhotep, who is, of course, played by Boris Karloff.
Right.
When an inspection of the mummy by Wemple's friend Dr. Miller reveals that the viscera were not removed, because when mummies were mummified,
right.
They scoop their brains out through their nose, they would take all the organs out, put them in pots, and kind of keep it with them because they need that for the afterlife.
I was going to say, when they say viscera, they mean organs.
Yeah, guts, organs, yeah.
Sure.
Miller deduces that although Imhotep had been wrapped like a traditional mummy, he had been buried alive. Also buried with Imhotep is a casket with a curse on it. Despite Miller's warning, because he's very against it. He's like, don't you dare, this is bad, juju.
Yes.
And the scientist, he's like, fuck you.
Yeah. I want to open it.
That's right. This is exciting. So despite his warnings, Sir Joseph's assistant Ralph, who's this young guy, he's brash, he's really excited. He opens it. And he reads aloud an ancient life-giving scroll, the Scroll of Thought.
Yes.
And he's kind of translates some of it as he's, reading it. He's kind of mumbling and translating it.
Exactly.
And Imhotep rises. You see he kind of, wakes up. And the sight of him just snaps Merton's mind, causing him to laugh hysterically as the mummy shuffles off with the scroll.
Yeah, he, grabs the scroll and just kind of slowly moves it off the table. And we see him looking like that. What's his name? Ralph, yeah. Looking at him and just like, ha, 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 ha. And one of the best laughs.
Yes.
Like, you should almost put that in instead of, a scream.
That's what I was thinking I was going to do.
Because it is, bone-chilling, that laugh.
That's right. So,
and
future Nick, remember, for the little lead up to this review, put in the laugh.
Yeah, future Nick, don't fuck it up.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's in there.
You guys already heard it. We're just, reminding ourselves.
That's right. I'll try and find. I'm sure I can. If
I'm
not,
sure.
I'll find something.
Yeah, but it's very chilling. And yeah, a guy comes in and checks on him. He's just still laughing. And it's just ooh.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
I think it was, yes.
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 It's crazy, though.
Yeah, because Joseph's all about it. And, so eventually, so the mummy shuffles off with the scroll.
Yeah.
And we find out that poor Ralph, he went insane. They put him in a psych ward, and he died.
Yes.
And we are 10 years later.
Yes.
Imhotep is masquerading as a modern Egyptian named Ardeth Bey, covering himself with makeup.
Yeah.
Which is, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's why he doesn't want people to touch him, because the makeup will come off.
Oh, okay.
He calls upon Sir Joseph's son Frank and Professor Pearson and shows them where to dig to find the tomb of the princess Ankh-Amenemhat. Whatever. We'll call her Amon.
Sure.
Because it's easier to explain.
Yes.
After locating the tomb, the archaeologists present its treasures to the Cairo Museum and thank Ardeth Bey for making the discovery possible. Of course, he knew that because that's where his love was.
Yes, his baby girl.
That's right. And we find out a little later why he was buried alive.
Right.
And I don't blame the guy.
Yeah.
It is further revealed that Imhotep's horrific death was punishment for sacrilege. Attempting to do later, but it's now. Attempting to resurrect his forbidden lover, Princess Ankh-Amenemhat.
Yeah.
I did pretty good that time. So basically she died. He was very sad. Screw it. I'm just gonna bring her back to life. Bring her back.
Yeah.
And halfway through, he got caught, and basically was sentenced the worst death ever, buried alive, and with curses on it, so that his soul is stuck in his dead body and can't go on to the next life.
Which basically happens in the Mummy too, as well.
Yeah. And Imhotep soon encounters Helen Grosvenor, a half-Egyptian woman bearing a striking resemblance to the princess. So he's like, hey, I like this one, let's get her going.
Yes.
And I think it's, believing her to be Ankh-Amenemhat's reincarnation.
Yes.
He attempts to kill her with the intention of mummifying her, resurrecting her, and finally making her his immortal bride. So they end up moving the body to the museum to show, because that's what they do.
Right.
And
because they say that the agreement is because even though they're British archaeologists, their agreement is that they have to display it in the Cairo Museum.
Yes. I think, the Egyptians want it. They want to keep it.
Because Ardeth said that was kind of their agreement, which is Imhotep, and that's why on purpose.
No, it was someone else. It was one of the guys who was actually behind the museum.
Okay, because I thought that he had the influence.
I think he did
because
too,
it had been the 10 years.
And that would make sense, because then he'd be close to him.
Exactly.
That totally makes sense. So so they bring the body and everything for display. And you see him that night praying.
Right.
Well, he's doing he's got first thing he said he's praying. He's kind of doing some memory. I miss you. Find out it's more of he's trying to bring her back.
Exactly.
And it kind of also affects Helen.
Yep.
Yeah, it affects Helen. And
because when he's praying, she seems to almost go into a trance.
Yeah, when he's mumbling the incantation.
Yes.
Because she's a reincarnation of her, she would be the one who's being affected.
Yes, and she snaps in and out of it.
Yes, and he explains, later on that that he shows her, this is your empty shell.
Yes.
Your spirit, your soul, everything that was you is in this body now.
Yeah.
And so that happens. She gets kind of all woozy and possessed, and not possessed, but she's drawn to the museum. And
it's like her personality doesn't change until the final scene. Like, she just kind of mumbles Imhotep and just kind of, then goes to the museum and bangs on the door. But she doesn't actually,
she doesn't get
change any. Yes, no. Exactly.
She's just drawn.
Yes.
Drawn there.
Yes.
And they kind of follow her, they find her, and she collapses.
Yes.
And what's his name?
Frank.
Frank, thank you. Frank kind of, helps her up and gets her back to, I think he's a hotel room or something in her place.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, yeah. her and not Dr. Miller, her and...
it's Frank's dad, isn't
Frank's dad. Sure. Professor Pearson.
Yes.
Yeah, so they bring her back, and she's kind of woozy, and her and Frank flirt a bit, and he's putting the booze on her.
Yeah, they do.
And meanwhile, Miller and Pearson are trying to figure out what's going on. They kind of realize this is something strange going on.
Yes.
And we kind of get a cut to the museum where one of the guards gets killed.
Yes.
Because they kind of catch Imhotep doing his thing.
Yes.
And so they get killed, and he leaves the... you are a very odd dog.
She's just really excited about the mummy.
So happy about the mummy. She's just getting all pumped for a good snooze.
Yes.
Oh, I love this executive producer of it. So the guard catches him halfway through, so that's why it stopped, I think.
Yes, exactly.
And he gets killed. But also, Imhotep leaves the scroll there, I think by accident.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to the... why? You're such a slow dog. He goes to the... where everyone else is. I think he's drawn to the scroll.
Yes.
And he meets up with Helen, and they meet for the first time, but at the same time, it's not their first meeting.
Exactly.
And she's very stricken by him. She's like, I know you, but I don't.
That's
feel so
exactly,
drawn.
yes. And they just basically have a staring contest.
They do. There's kind of a bit of talking.
Yeah.
We're all trying to figure out what to do with the scroll. They kind of find out about the death. Miller kind of deduces, maybe... Because Pearson was there when they dug the body up.
Yes,
and they kind of... He says the body was taken, but he kind of says, I don't think it was.
Right.
As crazy as it sounds, the mummy might have woken up and walked out on his own.
Yes.
So they kind of, Imhotep leaves. They decide to take her home, back to the hotel.
Right.
And we kind of decide, okay, he's got a thing for her. This guy's Imhotep.
Yes.
He's bad. He's got powers we can't touch with him or touch him with it. And he's like, deal with it. I want my scroll back. And so I can finish my, bring back my lover.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, maybe later. So we find out that Imhotep, he used his powers to control the guard, Nubian.
Yeah.
And he's kind of his slave now.
Right.
And he sends him to go, he uses his magic water to spy. And he finds out where the scroll is, and we see the professor's gonna burn it. He was told by Dr. Miller, burn it. If you burn it, it's over.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's brought him back.
Right.
Destroy that.
Yeah.
Destroy the mummy. And he uses the force and gives him a heart attack. And he gets the Nubian to go and take the scroll.
Yes.
And they don't show up, and they're like, oh, he's dead, but he burnt the scroll. And they decide to go, let's go check on Helen, make sure she's okay. And the doctor's like, oh, shit, he didn't burn it. This is newspaper. They tricked us.
Right.
So now we got to really take care. We have to watch over Helen, make sure she's safe and nothing will happen to her.
Right.
And we kind of find out that, nope, she's still under the influence. She's got the urges. I got to go find him. Mm-hmm. But she's fighting it. Right. She kind of knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. But sadly, it gets a little too much. The Imhotep kind of uses his force again to... he doesn't kill, but he knocks out...
Frank?
Frank.
Yeah.
I got him and Frank off mixed up for some reason. So Frank's down.
Yeah.
And and also, just as he was going down, before that, he put his protective amulet of Isis
on her door.
Off him onto the door. That way,
Yes.
that's how Imhotep did his little mojo on him, because because of the love that's blossomed between Frank and Helen.
Yes.
He's jealous. Like, nope, I can't have this. She's
exactly.
my woman reincarnated. I need her back.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank, he's doing the nice thing. He thought, I'll put this around her door. He won't get at her, but he's able to be attacked then.
Yes.
So he goes down.
And he tries to grab the amulet on his way down and rips it off her door.
Yes, because they told her next time you get that urge, do it and we'll follow you and get him.
Yes.
So that happens. She goes for a walk to the museum and kind of is zonked out and wakes up. She's all changed. She's got her clothes back to what she was when she was a princess.
Right.
And Imhotep kind of explains what's going to happen. This is your dead body. And he also fills her in on what happened after she died. How he tried to bring her back. He died. And for 3,700 years, they've been buried.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, okay. And so he's like, yep, this is what's going to happen. He burns her old corpse and tells her, all right, we're going to kill you. I'll bring you right back. And we'll be together forever.
Yes.
And she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Death? I don't think so. This doesn't sound good. I already died once.
Yeah.
Pain sucks. He's like, no, it'll work. She kind of fights and she's like, no, fine, fuck it, whatever.
Yes.
I'll do it. And meanwhile, the professor shows up and he finds Frank. He's like, oh, Frank, we got to go get her. She's at the museum. So they run there.
Yeah.
And she's about to be killed by Imhotep. And they show up. And a little more... it's not a struggle, not a fight.
Right.
But the scroll gets caught on fire.
Yes.
And it burns. As it burns, Imhotep, he kind of falls apart.
Yes.
And she's freed of the curse. And her and Frank kind of go off together. And we pan to the dead corpse.
Yes.
Basically. The desiccated, just bones of Imhotep. Oh, no, I take that back. I totally forgot this part. I think of other movies. So, what really happens... So before she gets sacrificed, she comes to her senses, and she's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Yes, no. She the princess realizes this is bad. I have screwed up. All the things I've done for Isis are being basically thrown away. So she goes and prays to the statue of Isis for help, basically.
Right.
And the statue does that. It raises its arm of the Ankh.
Yes.
The Ankh, yeah. And that sets the scroll on fire.
Right.
How did I forget that? Wow. I'm thinking...
It was pretty good, like the graphics.
I'm thinking of the other one. I'm thinking of the 90s Mummy, that's why. So, so that catches on fire. This breaks the spell that has given him his immortality, causing him to crumble to dust. At the urging of Dr. Miller, Frank calls Helen back to the world of the living while the scroll of Thoth continues to burn, and we see what remains of the mummy.
Right.
Because she was still kind of stuck in that bit of limbo of herself, Helen, and the princess still kind of mixed up in there. And the end.
Yay!
So, got a little screwed up there. But that was The Mummy.
Yeah.
It's again, because of the time, it was a short movie.
Yeah, 73 minutes I read.
Yeah. Which
like,
is short.
Holy moly, yeah, that's a short movie.
But really, for the script, for what's in there wasn't much to do with it. Besides, he comes back, he helps him find the princess's burial site, brings her back, he does spells, tries to get her over, she's like, they're like, oh no, finally gets her, and then they stop.
And then that's it, yeah.
It's very straightforward.
Yes.
I can see why in the sequels they kind of expanded a bit. They had a lot more to it, travel.
And anytime you deal with mythology, there's always a ton you can expand on. Because there's already a base that you can use almost, And I'm not saying that's not creative, but there's already this base that you can use and build upon to get this sort of mythology and add upon it, right?
Yep.
And I love that. I love that, adding to mythology. I just think mythology is so rich, like, because like I said, I do listen to a lot of Norse, Greek, Egyptian mythology, and it's so rich with culture and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
It
and
is.
There's so much you can do with it.
There really is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in later movies they kind of did that. They
Yes.
expanded more on the mythology.
Exactly.
Different actor to play the mummy.
Right.
But they really just kind of added on. And I think had different mummies. Yeah.
And even, again, we keep talking about it, but the 90s one, they actually, in the third Mummy, when they change it up a bit, they actually do The Legend of the Monkey King, which is one of my favorite.
That's what Dragon Ball Z is based on.
Really?
Yes.
Because that's
journey,
Japanese.
The Journey to the West.
Isn't it Japanese culture? Yes.
Japanese based on Chinese mythology.
Yes. Because the Monkey King is one of the coolest, the absolute coolest myths, and I love it so much. There's so many stories to it that, if you ever need a good listen, the Monkey King has so many
different takes on
stories, and so many stories, like so many adventures, I guess, that he goes on with different characters, and they're all hilarious and like crazy.
Oh yeah, I know there's it was on Netflix. Actually, they did a movie. I think Jackie Chan did a movie of it too. But there's been tons. It's been it's been just redone and redone. Like Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama just took that story and did his own take on it.
Exactly.
And it became one of the most well-known and well-loved animes out there of all time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Take an idea and make it your own.
Yes. Run with it.
Yep.
But you already have this base that you can add these stories onto. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I love this movie. It was good.
I liked it too. How would you rate it? How many Horr-Gasms?
I would probably, same with Frankenstein, I would definitely give it 3. I think it's like, I would tell people to watch this one, like, know your roots, know where the mummy came from.
Yep.
Like, watch this. It is totally worth it. And Boris Karloff just knocks it out of the park, like he did in Frankenstein. Yeah, I think he did a great job. It was, again, with the music. There was not a ton of music other than the party scenes and whatnot. But after you get over the initial scene, the acting is actually pretty good, and you actually believe the characters. Like, the connection between Helen and Imhotep, I think, was really well done. And you believe that they know each other after their staring contest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
there's definitely a connection.
Yes, yeah. How about you? How many would you rate it?
3.5.
Interesting.
For a horror, it wasn't scary, but at the time,
Obviously.
I'm sure it was terrifying for people when the mummy moved.
Yes.
It was just a good movie. It was a good script, good plot, good acting, despite being a little stiff.
Yes. That beginning was hard.
I caught a couple hard cuts, but other than that, it was very smooth.
Yes.
They really got the filming down by that point.
Yes, better than the other two. And this one was earlier than the other two.
Nope, we're going order. It was Dracula, Frankenstein, now the Mummy.
But those ones were the 40s.
Nope.
Weren't they?
20s.
Oh.
I'm sure. Hang on. Hang on.
I thought that they were later. But.
No, it was Frankenstein. Yeah, so Frankenstein was 31.
Oh my god.
And this is 32.
Okay.
And Dracula was 31.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, this is...
crazy, yeah.
They were pumping them out. They were like, horror. Scare people. This is great.
But these were, I was just kind of scrolling through Wikipedia while I was eating, and these were pretty popular for the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this one especially was really popular, which is interesting because I find after the first scene, it's not super horror-y.
No.
Like, it's lots of just basically talking and exposition, and, like, trying to raise your dead lover from the grave is probably a little scary, but it wasn't done in sort of a scary way.
No, but again, it's of the time.
Yes, exactly. I totally agree with you.
That was terrifying.
Yes.
Like, this creature came back from the dead to take someone and kill her and then bring her back again.
For sure.
There wasn't many... For the Ichabod's Kill, it's like there wasn't that many deaths, let alone gruesome. I'd give it to Dr. Joseph, like Frank's death.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Because he had a very...
The heart attack?
The heart attack looked rough.
Yes, and it looked real.
Yeah.
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 Like, he was really acting it up, like, clutching his chest and freaking out. And
his breathing was very
ragged. Labored. Yeah.
He really, that was I think that was the kill the flick.
For sure. I agree with
Ralph
you.
gets a close second because he went cuckoo and his laugh was pretty...
That was a good one.
And I love, he was trying to get Horr, snap out of it. What's wrong with you? He's like, hey, he went for a walk. And he's laughing away. Like, that's... I would get that, it
broke him.
He broke.
Yes.
And he just found it funny because he went for a walk.
And they talk about it later that he died laughing in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
And just that image in your head is creepy.
Yep.
You know? It always reminds me of, like, the Joker. He has one where he gives people laughing gas, doesn't he? And they die laughing.
Yes.
Isn't that the Killing Game or something?
1980s Batman did that.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was gas. They had something, and they
laugh
and they
die. And they laugh and die.
That's
scary.
That was originally from the first Joker comic.
Sure.
With Batman, he would poison them with something,
right?
And they would die with this big grin like he has.
Yes.
And just...
That's creepy. Just the idea, like, to die laughing. That's creepy.
Yeah.
That's scary. And that poor guy.
Yeah.
Go a little crazy.
A little. He was full on bonkers.
Again, that laugh was so good.
I'll do my best to find it.
Yes. Just one of the best. And for such an early movie, it was such a good laugh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Like, it reminded me of the guy from Dracula, his silly kind of laugh.
Yes.
Yes. Like, he's creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah. It's interesting how they did it. Props to everybody.
I agree. Great movie.
Right?
Love it.
Yeah. And next week, we're going to be wrapping up our horror movie month, in quotations, classic movie month, with The Invisible Man. Is that what we decided on?
Yes. I think last with Frankenstein, I think I said we would do that this time.
Yes.
Now I think about it. Oops. No.
Surprise.
Surprise. No, we did The Mummy. Because we couldn't find the Invisible Man to do it.
Right.
No, next week we'll be doing the Invisible Man, the last of our classic horror month. For now, there's so many.
There's so many.
There's a lot to catch up on.
Yes.
But no, these are the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Creature from the Black Lagoon it's up there, but it's not iconic because it only had the two movies.
Yes.
There's 2 of them, and then that was kind of it. But we'll do Invisible Man. That movie was very scary because of the effects.
I heard that.
It got a great remake or redo down the road. They did a bunch of them.
Yeah. The soonest one being just this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet.
I've heard it's really good.
There was The Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah.
We already said this back after Frankenstein, but
just reiterating how excited we are.
I done fucked up.
I mean, that's fine.
For listener surprise.
Yeah. Surprise, this is the Mummy. As we say at the end.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. This episode was brought to you by our executive producer, Ichabod. Snoring away, you'll probably hear her. We hope you enjoyed your Horr-Gasm as much as we did. Please don't forget to rate, download, and subscribe. Also, like and follow us on Facebook at Horr-Gasm Podcast, Instagram at Horr-Gasm, Twitter at Gasm Horror, and YouTube at the Horr-Gasm Podcast. If you have a movie you'd like us to review, this is the best way to let us know. We hope to see you again next week because we have such sights to show you. Plenty of Horr-Gasms for you to experience. See you!